Hi guys! Welcome to the second part of this three-part series about getting a purebred kitten. If you haven't seen the first part, make sure to click on the link up here. That will take you to the video where we're talking about choosing the right breeder. And in this one, we'll talk about all of the questions that you should ask the breeder. As you may know, our cats are definitely not lab cats, so I am not sure how long we're going to have Bluebell here as a guest. But so far so good, he's just being really cute on my lap. So I have grouped my questions into 4 different categories, and I would probably suggest, if you are going for a viewing, so if you are meeting a breeder face to face, to have all of your questions ready and ask them then. Of course, this may not be possible for you, so maybe arrange a phone call or a Zoom call so you can see the kittens on the camera as well. And you may have lots and lots more questions, but we just thought we will talk about the most important ones and the ones that you should ask a breeder, no matter what cat breed that is. So if it's a ragdoll or if it's any different cat breed, you can definitely ask them those questions. Or even if you are adopting a cat, then of course you can ask some of these questions to the shelter or anyone that is having the cat at the moment. So first we're going to talk about everything health related. So make sure to ask your breeder what vaccinations the kitten comes with. On an example of a ragdoll, they should have had 2 courses of vaccinations, one at about 8 to 9 weeks old and another one at around 12 weeks old. And they should also give you a card that proves this and has stamps and is signed by the vet. So first we're going to talk about everything health related. So make sure to ask your breeder what vaccinations the kitten comes with. They should have on an example of a ragdoll, they should have had. So some breeders do that before the kittens are taken by their new owners, but some breeders put in their contract that you should do it within the first 6 months of the kitten's life. So it is worth knowing if you will be responsible for that or if the kitten will come neutered. And of course, even if it is going to be just an indoor cat, it is worth to have it microchipped. You don't know what can happen. The cat might just slip out through the door and just run away, so it's definitely worth to have it microchipped even if they don't leave the house on their own usually. Now, a very important question is how old is the kitten going to be when you will be able to take it home? Of course, everyone would like a tiny little kitten and, as small as possible. Some breeders, especially in US and I think Canada as well, it is common practice to sell the kittens at 8 weeks old. In the UK, they should be about 12 to 13 weeks old. Some breeders only sell kittens, especially when they're ragdolls, or when they are 16 weeks old. So it is a massive difference. But it is not a bad sign at all. It is actually very good because during this time they learn socializing skills. They also are getting more independent, so it is worth making sure that they have as much time with their mum as possible so that they don't have any separation issues and they are happy to start their new life in their forever home. Going back to the vet, it is also worth mentioning that you should take your kitty to the vet within the first 48 hours of bringing them home. It is just to make sure
Sorry.
just the tail passing through. It is just to make sure that both sides, the breeder and yourself, make sure that there is no health issues with your new kitty. A very important point is also to research if there is any common diseases or genetic diseases associated with the breed of cat that you are getting. So for example, with ragdolls, the most common ones are HCM and PKD. So HCM is a heart disease, and this is when the heart muscle becomes abnormally thick and it is very hard for it to pump the blood. There is special testing that can be done on the ancestors of your kitten to find out if they are prone to that disease. The same thing goes with the PKD, which is the polycystic kidney disease. it is very common in ragdolls, and that is again when the kidney becomes big and covered with lots of little cysts, and that can cause kidney failure. So ragdolls are very prone to that disease. It is genetic and it can be tested, so make sure that the parents of your kitten have been tested for that, and you can also ask the breeder to provide any proof of that as well. Now we're going to talk about behaviours and training and questions to ask regarding to that. This goes back a little bit to the kittens being a little bit older when you pick them up. That means that the breeder has time to train them in a few different things, and it makes it just so much more easier for you to bring the kitten home and not worry about a few most important things. So one of them is definitely litter training. Our kittens have been litter trained. We literally just had to show them where the litter box was. That was that. No problems afterwards at all. And of course, scratch post training. That is also a very important one. You don't want your kitten to scratch on everything around the house. So again, we just had to show the cats where the scratch posts are, where are the cardboard scratches, just scratch it with our fingers for a few seconds, and they already knew to use it and how to use it. So as you can see, waiting those few more weeks for your kitten can save you some precious time on training and can save your furniture as well. The next point that it is worth asking is brushing, and maybe just the types of brushes that have been used on the kittens, if they are used to brushing at all, and maybe go for something similar that the breeder used so that your kitty will feel comfortable from the get-go. And this very nicely leads us to the next section, which is all about the items that are in use for kittens at the moment. So just like brushes and everything else, it is worth asking your breeder what type of food do they feed the kittens, and the best thing to do is get the same type of food for about 2 weeks before you transition them to something else, unless you want to continue with what the breeder is giving them. But that way, again, this will help them to settle in their new home a lot better. Another point as well is the cat litter that they already use. Again, it will just be a lot easier and more comfortable for them to use a litter box with something that they already know. They know the smell of it, they know the texture, and they definitely know that this is where you pee. Going back to the food, it is also worth asking the breeder about the feeding pattern, the feeding times that the kitten is currently used to, and if you can, follow it as closely as possible. This will help with the transition to the new place. Don't confuse feeding times with portion sizes though, because kittens should eat as much as they want. So really, they should have something to eat out for them all the time, but it is more of like the bigger portions of food that they will eat at certain times of the day. Another great thing to ask is if the kitten maybe has a favorite toy. So sometimes the breeder will actually give you some toys with your kittens. It could be the used one, which is probably best and something that the kitten is used to and absolutely loves. So this is a great question to ask. And maybe they can tell you something more about their personality already. Or you might just notice that yourself when you get to see the kittens before you bring them home. So for example, with Bluebell, we noticed that he absolutely loved a tunnel that he had in his playroom. So we decided to get a tunnel as well, and it worked. He absolutely loved playing in it. He still loves it, and he sleeps in it sometimes as well. So that was a good thing that we just noticed ourselves as well. And I've got a few extra questions which by all means are no less important, but they just don't fit into all of the categories. One of them is insurance. Well, kind of links to health, but a lot of breeders give you about 5 weeks free insurance with the insurer that they use. We got ours with Agria. We stayed with the company and they are great. So that's something that is worth asking and making sure that the insurance starts from the day that you pick up your kittens, so it is insured from the time you leave the breeder's doors. And keep in mind that most of the time for the insurance to get validated, you do have to take your kitty to the vet within a certain time frame as well, and just do this overall health check too. Now, this is when your breeder will also probably tell you about a kitten pack. We mentioned it in our previous part of this video, and that is something that you will get when you pick up your kitten. This will include anything from various toys, maybe some food, maybe cat litter, and a lot of the time something with the smell of their mum. So sometimes it is a toy, sometimes it is a blanket. But what is a great idea, and a question that you can ask as well, is if you can bring a blanket from home and leave it with the breeder for the few weeks before you pick up the kitten. That way it will have all of their familiar scents on it, so the scent of the home that it lives in and the scent of their mum. And the litter mates as well. You can pick up the kitten with that blanket and line the carrier with it, and the kitten will just feel a bit more comfortable and a bit like in its own space. These aren't all the questions that I had on my personal list, but they would be personalized to you, the things that you may have not researched yet. So feel free to ask your breeder as many questions as you want, and they should be able to answer all of them for you. It is a good indicator of a good breeder that they go into a lot of detail about things that you ask for and are really happy to answer all of your questions, so don't hesitate to ask everything you want to know. When you visit the breeder for a kitten viewing, just be nosy, like look around, ask questions, ask where things come from, toys, cat furniture, cat trees. Breeders are the people that have had lots of different toys, lots of different cats. They will be able to give you their honest opinions about the products, and if you haven't finished your shopping, give you inspiration as to what to buy for your kitten. So this is the end of part 2. Make sure to click on the link on this side in a second to watch part 3 of this video, which will be all about the paperwork and everything that you should get with your purebred kitten. We hope you enjoy this, and if you have any further comments, definitely leave them down below for us. See you soon. Bye!